Is going on, everyone, and welcome to Kart 6T3. My name is Ben, right up front, just so you know who is speaking to you. For you new viewers, really, anybody coming in that's checking this channel out for the first time, just introducing myself. Here we talk about kart tips and tricks and things about everything and some theorem, and I post some of my GoPro stuff. So the reason I'm saying this is because this video today is something I kind of overlooked, and why I say that I absolutely love the interaction in the comments from you guys, from people who watch my videos, because it gives me great ideas. You know, something I never even thought of was the kart classes and their distinctions. What was, you know, what's the difference between this class and that class? You know, for somebody who is brand new and thinking, you know, what am I even looking for when I go to track, and what does all this stuff mean? But I'm gonna do my best to find some pictures of either karts or their the motor designation, and put them in between here. So first off, we are gonna start with what I believe to be the biggest class in the United States, or, you know, around the world, I would guess, would be the clone engine. And that's going to look like this. From what I remember where that came from, initially it was called the Box Stock Project. Way back a while ago. They were supposed to be basically what the Predator is today, but we'll get to that in a second. They're called clones. I believe it's a clone of a Honda engine. I don't know that it really had a race spec to it. Initially, most kart engines were industrial style engines. The Briggs Flathead is a lawnmower engine. That's so the clone. The clone was, from my knowledge, a clone of a Honda engine. It's like a 212cc displacement 4-stroke. And in clone racing, there are different classes. Now, that would be determined on your age or your weight. So you say something like, and I don't know this for certain because I've never actually run these classes, nor did my kids ever run any clone classes. They haven't run karts at all, just not interested. But you say you have a purple plate. When you hear, like a Junior 1 purple plate, that is a restrictor plate that is put behind the carburetor to only allow the engine basically to go so fast. It's going to restrict your fuel, and it's going to restrict your oxygen. So you're going to have a junior 1, a junior 2. Those are designations of age. And if it's in, a purple plate or green plate or whatever plate they so choose, that is going to be, to limit the power on that for whatever class that is. That is what that means. When you get beyond that, the age restriction or the power restriction, via a plate, then you're going to get into adult classes. And then basically you have, a light, a medium, a heavy, a super heavy, which is just going to be a weight restriction. You're not going to allow somebody that weighs, 310 pounds to race in a class against people that weigh 410 pounds. That is a 100-pound weight advantage and power to weight ratio. Obviously, the lighter you are, the faster your kart can accelerate, can go. So you're not going to want that. So somebody like me in a kart, I would say arguably if I had a clone engine on, which is give or take the same as my Yamaha, I'm going to weigh somewhere in the realm of 360, 365 pounds. I would say that probably puts me in either a clone light or a clone medium class. I'm assuming clone heavy would be 375 to 400, and then super heavy would be 400 above. I'm just guessing. You're actually going to have to check with your local track to figure out which ones those are. What the restrictions are, at what age you got to be, what weight you got to be for what classes. But basically, clones are, like I said, the biggest class in the United States. When you have your money races, when you have your state races, when you have even local races, usually that's the biggest class. Now, aside from that, I won't even say it's not the next level, because the clones are faster than the Predators usually. There are circumstances where that doesn't happen, but usually the clones are faster than the Predators. The Predator class, and I'll show that engine right here. The Predator class is going to be what clones were intended to be before the modifications came to the clones. Now, there's billet flywheels, there's this and that with the clones. Well, the box stock Predators are a Harbor Freight China-made engine. There's two of them that I know of. I think it's still the 212cc, if I'm not mistaken. They have a Ghost engine, which is their race-prepared engine, which I don't actually, it's tilted. One stands straight up, the other one's tilted down. Other than that, I don't know much about the Predators, but there are very few things you can do to those engines to keep it as competitive as possible. Usually in a Predator class, you're not going to have, they might have a rule on how new your chassis can be. It may have to be 10 years or older. I'm not saying in specifics, I don't run that class. I don't know, but I had heard you have to be on a slightly older chassis. There's a claimer rule, so they'll have whatever the cost of the engine is, and say you go out and beat somebody, they can pay $200 or whatever it is and claim your motor. So you'd better not do anything to that engine, and that's to keep it keep everything reasonable. Not only cost, but keep people from cheating. If you dump a bunch of money into an engine and then you go out and win the class, like, aha, I won it, and somebody comes up and they're like, I'm claiming that motor for $200 and you have $500 invested into it, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Somebody just bought your $500 investment for $200. So it really keeps people on the even Steven. Just go out and get an engine. I think some classes you're allowed to take the governor off, but very basic. Basically, it's a bolt up to your cart. You have a clutch, and put fuel in it. They'll designate, where you can get your fuel or get the fuel at track, whatever it is. You run this fuel in this engine, go out, then it's reliant on cart setup and tires, which is, that's fair. I'd say that's, that's a pretty even Steven, my skill against your skill, my tire skills, my driving skills, my chassis setup skills against yours, and nobody's outspending one another, financially in the horsepower game. Champ class. What are champs? I'm going to put a picture right here. Champs are basically flat carts with cages. You're going to have a harness. There's a 5-point harness, whatever. You have seat belts. You climb in the thing. You have to strap in. Again, with the, there's going to be, your clone classes, your junior 1, your junior 2, your adults, your mediums, your heavies, or they're just going to have one champ class in general. Then also in New York, and I know other places, now they have winged champ. So, the big wings on them, traveling series usually. Some tracks have them as a regular class. But basically that's, the same kind of engine rules, either clone, Predator. Sometimes you can get into an animal. I didn't mention flatheads when I was bringing up the classes. I did clones and the Predators, and flatheads are still a thing in certain parts of the country, but they are really, they've been gone in my area for quite a while. What class do we want to talk about now? Let's see, I want champ, wing champs. Those are basically your basic carts. Now, when you get into kind of what I do, kind of like the flathead engine, I run the Yamaha. Again, you can't see the Yamaha. It's sitting over here, but when I talk about it, I look at it. The Yamaha class, different parts of the country, there are still KT100s out there. It's a 2-stroke, 100cc engine, piston port. They're a riot. They're about 18 horsepower, give or take. A good engine's 18 horsepower. They're tunable. They last forever if you don't stick them. Like with anything, you got to learn how to drive them, what temperatures they like, this and that. But they've really fallen off. There are a million KT100s hanging around the United States and all over the world for that matter. And everybody's just like, oh, I wish they'd bring that class back. And then I'd been an administrator. I tried to get a traveling series back together, and nobody showed up. I built a kart, nobody showed up. So my local track has a class. I enjoy racing that. You can see some of that footage on this channel of the little angry bumblebee riding around. But they're, if you don't know what one looks like, I'll put it here. I'll probably put my kart. I'll put it. It's probably my kart. Moving on from the KT100s, the next class up, I think, would be the open class. Now, this can vary. I always refer to it as an open class. That means open engine. That means, pretty much what you want to put on there. Now, there are two really designations for open engines, or I won't say two. We'll go with open 4 strokes, and that would be a small black 4 strokes. Those are a little bigger down south than it is up here, but basically it would be a flat cart with an open clone on it, maybe even a big block, what they consider a big block, an open 4-stroke engine, and that's all they run. They don't run 2 strokes against them. Then you would have a air-cooled, open class, which air-cooled would be 2 strokes. So you're talking about your Perillas and stuff like that, and whatever, PDR, Fireball. No, maybe that's not one of them. I can't remember. There's a whole bunch of the big finned head engines. So 125 cc, 131, 150s. That older. They're also they've dissipated. They've gone. I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there, and occasionally you can find a class that's open 2-stroke for that. And then you get into the UAS, and then you get into rung what you brung. UAS, we do have rules and parameters, and it's basically there's a whole rule book. You pick your engine, whatever cc you want, up to 300 cc 2-stroke, up to 500 cc 4-stroke, wankles, dual engines, that whole thing. But there are rules for how long your kart can be, how high your kart can be, wings, vision-wise, things don't get in the way. Then you fall into rung what you brung, which is no holds barred. If you want to put a 600 cc engine from a snowmobile on there, knock yourself out. Good luck turning, but knock yourself out. Basically, no rules on the bodywork. You can do bigger panels and metal this and metal that, and it to each your own. I think I favor the UAS side only because I've been doing it for so long, but then again, I don't have anything against the rung what we brung. I just think, some people can get a little nuts doing that, but to each your own. Like I said, I got zero issue with that. Aside from that, kart-wise, past us, maybe you have what would be, I call them the PA wings. Pennsylvania has a fair amount of these things, and they are QRC karts. They got the 500cc 2-stroke, or 500cc? Is it 500cc? Yeah, it's 500cc 2-strokes on there. Some big 550, 600cc 4-strokes on there. They're a bigger cart, big wings rolling around there. They're quite impressive to watch. I like to watch them. They get push started by 4-wheelers and stuff. But I haven't really delved into that land yet. I've seen them run. I like to watch them run, but I don't know a whole lot about the organization or where they run or anything like that. I know they're everywhere. Down in North Carolina, there's a very famous track that runs those guys all the time, and I think it's pretty awesome. I don't know much about it, so I can't speak to it. But geez, what I don't even know what the actual class is called. I know the PA wings, but that's just because I'm so close to those guys that I know what those are called. Anyway, if you know what they're called, or I come up with it in this video, I'll put it right here and let you know where they're called. But that's basically it for the classes. I mean, there's some niche areas that may run this, may run that. They may play with bodywork, no bodywork, this and that, but basically, it's clones, predators, champs, UAS / rung what you brung, open karts, and then when you get into the bigger ones, the QRCs and the big 500cc two-strokes. Those are basically the kart classes before you get into stuff with suspension, which are no longer karts. You know, that's what defines a kart is no suspension. We don't have springs. We don't have shocks. The design of the chassis is the spring is our suspension and how it reacts, the sidewall flex and tires, and you know why we do what we do there. So in case you were curious why, you know, what karts are why karts are karts and why cars are cars, because cars have suspension, karts do not. There you go. Pretty simple. But all right. Again, it was supposed to be Quick Tip Tuesday. Not so quick because I get talking and then I just won't shut up. But I hope you enjoyed the video, everyone. If you didn't mind hitting a like on the video, maybe subscribe to the channel if this stuff is useful to you, if you found it entertaining, if you just like to hear me talk about stuff. I mean, I'm all right with that. Okay, before I talk anymore, I'll catch you guys next week. Later.